Welcome to Life Unpacked with Mel Ryan and our new series, Life Bombs. This is a series about the moments that change everything, the moments that shatter the life we thought we were living and force us to see ourselves differently. Across 9 real stories, we unpack the truth behind grief, abuse, addiction, affairs, miscarriage, loss, love and joy, and everything in between. These conversations are honest, raw, and unedited, because life is unedited. Each episode invites you to look at your own story with more compassion and less judgment, to notice the patterns that you've been repeating, to understand what you've been working on your whole life, and to finally say, I've got me. If you're ready to hear real stories, to grow with others, and to see yourself more clearly than ever before, this series is for you. This is Life Bombs. This is Life Unpacked with Mel Ryan. Belinda is our first story in our Life Unpacked with Mel new series, Life Bombs. Belinda's story is one that will touch your heart so very deeply, and the whole of the Life Bomb series is dedicated to her. I worked with Belinda while she was facing her end of life and the transformation into a new existence for her. And we had a lot of beautiful moments together where we unpacked so many things. So together we put a podcast that is going to highlight the absolute beauty of these life bomb experiences and how quickly your life can change. Linda is a beautiful mum of 2 kids who had a twin sister who we've also done a podcast with, who, like anyone, doesn't actually want to leave the earth and really wanted to continue her journey to be able to be a mum and a friend and every part of life, to experience what life has to offer. But of course life had other plans for her. And so in sharing her story with the world, she has a beautiful legacy, and I'm absolutely in awe, and I'm really honoured to share her story with you. It is raw and heartfelt and will be triggering to those of you that are mums with kids or anyone that has lost someone that they dearly love. But these life bomb stories are real, and they're people's experience of life and how we try and support ourselves through it, and even how we support the people we love afterwards. So for me, in sharing this series with you all, it really honours the space that we created that was really safe to be able to ask every single question that we probably could in life. Please listen to it with the space that this is just a beautiful conversation between 2 people that you are joining in with us to explore how we explore life together. She's such an inspiration to me and to so many other people that I know. This is such a beautiful way to honour her, and I'm so grateful. So sending love to you, Belinda, wherever you are right now, because I know that you are as proud of this podcast as I am. Welcome to Life Unpacked with Mel. Today I have the most beautiful, beautiful guest with me. Her name is Belinda. I'm so happy for you to be here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be in this space.
We've had a very big journey together, and I would love to share and see how we unpack that today in our little podcast. So for our listeners that come to listen to this, let's do your current situation. Do you want to share that?
Sure. So currently I am about to turn 49, and I've been told I probably have weeks left to live with stage 4 angiosarcoma cancer. So I've been a bit in and out of hospital, but it has been a long journey over a long time with cancer, misdiagnosis, treatment. But that's where I'm at the moment. So just, trying to live each day to the fullest.
And we just had a couple of weeks ago, a bit ago. What an amazing idea that we all got to celebrate a celebration of life with you. So it's almost, instead of a funeral, you get together and I think you put it on Facebook saying anyone and everyone.
An open invitation for anyone that wanted to come and say hello, goodbye, share some memories, do some dancing, listen to some music, eat good food.
It was a good food.
Yeah, and just allowing me to be a part of that, as opposed to the person you're talking about, but that person not being there anymore. I really wanted to have those conversations and relive some of those happy memories, and
which I think is amazing.
Great day.
How did you come about to that? Did you see someone else do that?
I think I'd seen it somewhere where someone had talked about a celebration of life, and I thought that's a really interesting perspective. And I've had quite a lot of time to get used to the idea of death and dying. I still haven't organised my funeral because I want to think of it as almost a happy occasion, as opposed to, worrying about how everybody else feels at that funeral and their sadness and stuff. I just wanted some happiness, and that's why through the celebration of life, and I use humour a lot to get through things. So I handed out little Ouija boards that said, let's keep in touch. And it's just my sense of humour. And it's quite interesting because I can see that some people can't deal with that because they can't deal with the grief themselves. So it's not just a journey for me, it's a journey for the people I'm talking to. I had a friend come over last night who couldn't make it to that celebration of life. And she was, we were sitting down, we were just talking about our friendship and how easy it is. And then she teared up and started getting upset. And I'm was finding it a bit hard to try to comfort her when I'm I can't change anything for her. And you just have to go through it. Just, even in the last few days, I've been chatting with people and I'm just like, wow, the learning I can see in other people, as well as, them saying to me, with everything that's going on, wow,
do you know the beautiful takeaway I got from your celebration of life is when you said that your family came together that hadn't spoken to each other, the cousins, and just hugged and hugged and hugged. Your auntie was crying and stuff, and I'm like, but that's what life is about. It makes it so real when you get that connection back to people, because you go, what the fuck am I doing with...
I feel like we don't talk about death either.
We don't talk about death.
And, that it's part of life. And I get that it's really confusing because some people don't know when they're going to die. It's just very sudden. I was chatting to someone in the hospital who just lost their partner overnight and woke up the next morning and was all alone.
Yeah.
And I said, that's really hard. And I think also having time to prepare, that's also really hard too. They're different, but they're both, it's just what life throws at you, and it's just what you have to go with.
I think the really interesting part in that too is it's part of your story.
Yeah.
And when we talk about trying to unpack our stories to really make sense of how we got here and what we're learning, really, at the end of the day, I think that it's such a way that we can reconnect with, our truth in most ways. I think death, I totally agree with you. I think we do it so bad. I think we're so scared of it. Yeah. And it is such a beauty. You see so much beauty in when a family is going through someone dying, is because everything changes, the rules change, the reconnection changes, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How we got to know each other. We go way back.
We do.
And
should have a ring on it, really.
Yeah. We probably nearly do. A long way back when I had a shop, and that was the front for my clinic, and I used to see people in there, and I started seeing, I think it's H.
My son Hayden,
First, remember, I got my little hands on in your family, and we did some work with him, and it's just transgressed into...
I want this for me. I love this. This is something I didn't know anything about, kinesiology. And even to this day, when people ask me what it is,
what do you do?
I the way I explain it, it's a mind-body connection. And that's like the most simple terms I can put it. It's like just creating a better understanding by listening to your body and what's going on. I still get people look at me and go, what? And I'm like, you just need to try it. It's been life-changing for me. You just need to
try.
Yeah.
It's a thing, isn't it? And I think that's when we hung out so long ago in, and even in unpacking your story, in being a twin, for me, became really interesting because when you're a twin, you start being a we.
Yes.
And everyone else starts being a me, and then we lose ourselves. But even as a twin, you're already a we.
Yes.
And so I think we did a lot of work in establishing, the permission to just be myself, to have needs, to support myself, to know that everything about me is important, rather than having to take a step sideways or back or make sure everyone else is looked after first, which is such a big
100%. There's such a big comparison when you're a twin, like smart one or, who's the sporty one, who's this. Sometimes it's hard to find who you are in that because you feel like you're competing with someone, but at the same time, you don't want to compete with them.
Yeah, because they're your best friend.
And it's been a really interesting journey having had 2 kids myself and one of each sex, and them not having that same they've got a really strong bond, but it's very different to a twin bond where you do everything together and
every milestone is together, and you compared if you didn't make the same, like you didn't walk at the same time, or you didn't lose your front tooth at the same time, or whatever, that it's like, oh, they got this first, or you.
Very interesting to watch. And I almost went to school almost feeling like I always had a backup plan for safety wise. So I sometimes feel like I didn't probably push myself out of my comfort zone because I always felt like my sister was my comfort zone. So if something went wrong, or I can still fall back on that. So sometimes I think when we don't feel our feelings and walk through them, we constantly repeat those patterns because we're not learning that lesson.
Yeah.
And I can see that that's what I did a lot in my childhood. I just wanted to be in the corner, do my best, get good grades.
Yeah, but it's like you're not making
not
be a burden, not be a bother, not annoy anyone, not stand out,
100%.
kind of go under the radar. Yeah, well, you're not doing that now.
Oh, 100%. I 100% feel so much more connected to myself because I think growing up my mum is a very selfless person, and I think I learned a lot from her to be a giver and not take anything back. And I really struggled for a long time with people that couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like I'd get upset going, I can't understand why. I just couldn't see someone else's point of view because I'm like, isn't everyone like that? Yeah. Everyone's giving like that. But now that I'm older and I'm in this place, I can see that boundaries are not a bad thing.
Yeah.
They're a good thing. And you just don't know what other people are going through. Sometimes that reflects what's going on 100%. Between your personal relationship. And sometimes you have to stand back and go, right, that they're going through something. It's not about me. It's actually about them.
Do you think too it's in the stuff that we've talked about over, I suppose I didn't, we did start seeing each other all the way back then, and now I think we tried to work out before we started this podcast, it's been 13 years of hanging out together, every odd month, and obviously since your cancer diagnosis, we have had what we call
Tuesdays with Mel.
Yeah.
Tuesdays with Murray, if you've read the book.
Yeah. Tuesdays with Matt, and we have unpacked it all.
We have 100%.
This most beautiful time of celebrating your life and being able to support you to see, the whys in the things, I think is been really important to me. One of the favorite things that you said to me at the beginning, so we've gone through obviously the happiness myths and all of the things that we've talked about, and the rules is such a big one, and particularly being a twin and being so for you were describing before about your mum to me as a giver, and I totally agree, but we give to the point that we sacrifice.
Yes.
And when we sacrifice, we aren't including ourselves in the people we love. And as what I stand for 100% is bringing people back to that realization that we need to include ourselves in the people that we love, because otherwise we're, abandoned, lost, alone, disconnected, and we don't know how to enjoy our life enough. And so by reframing and teaching people, hey, you're absolutely allowed to give, because it's such a beautiful trait that we have when we are givers. We can't not do it. But it's to be able to also give to ourselves. And that's where the game changes.
100%.
And I think that's where I've enjoyed so much working with you, to see the absolute blossoming and beauty and transition in you, include yourself above and beyond in the people that you love and give to, and boundary in just such gentle but strong, beautiful ways. And the first thing you said to me is, when you were diagnosed with cancer, like the best thing, and so we're going to talk about, people not talking about death, because pros and cons to everything. Yeah. You said the best thing is the fact that the rules don't exist.
Yes.
And for the first time, really, that liberation of going, well, you could have brekkie cereal for dinner and not care now, because you don't have to get the validation or approval of anyone, because you have the C word, which means everyone's like, oh, you've got not the ticket, but you're allowed to live the way you choose because you have cancer. And the bigger the diagnosis, the less rules.
It is actually quite freeing.
Yeah.
Because I can stop now and go outside, and I really listen. Instead of getting caught up in the hustle and bustle, I can stop and go, I'll listen to the birds today. And I think one of the things you taught me, Mel, was self-care can even just be getting your favourite dressing gown and putting it on. So now I deliberately go and choose the coffee cup that I want to drink that makes me happy. I put my fluffy dressing gown on, and I tuck as you like to say, myself in. And I might have done that occasionally before, but I never really acknowledged it in my mind. And once you start to acknowledge it, it becomes such more of a pleasure and such more of a conscious decision to look after yourself. Yeah. And I love that. I absolutely love that.
It's like when you get to that, this point now, you're like, I genuinely know that I love myself.
Yeah.
I genuinely know I look after myself. And I'm a priority in my life in ways I never was before. Yeah. It's pretty incredible to, to be connected to that in so many ways. Where are you tracking along at the moment? Like, what's the hardest thing for you right now?
The hardest thing for me is, because my children are 17 and 15, is seeing them struggle. But I've also learned that they're on their own journey. Yeah. So I can put in as much as I can in place for them while I'm here. But I that's my greatest fear, is just how the kids will cope.
Yeah.
But I know that I have friends that say to me, you've done the foundation so that they'll be okay. But I look at them and they're two amazingly strong, incredible kids, and it just makes me so proud.
I think, I totally agree. They are the most beautiful kids. They're very, very insightful and caring and loving, and have such a beautiful, set of people around them that totally love them. I think in one of the analogies in our Tuesdays with Mel, we try and come up with little takeaways all the time. And I think one of the little stories was, particularly when you have kids, it's like you have a pantry, and every experience you have with them and every advice you give them, it's like stocking their pantry with all kinds of, tins and, noodles and any possible thing you can. So when we're not here in whatever capacity that is, it means that in a life crisis or a life moment or a life decision, they can literally go to that pantry, and the setup of their belief systems and how they would be, decisions they can make and all that is kind of there.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say, that back into what you were saying is like, you have spent such a beautiful time in, I was going to say, in the privilege of knowing that you're going to die before you die. And again, that's, people don't like, us putting it that way, but I think that there's such a beauty in that pantry for you over the last, what's been 18 months,
Well, let's
2 years?
face it too, Mel. I can pick out which photos I want seen and which photos I don't want seen in the eulogy too. So that's kind of a win-win from my point of view. Not that photo. That photo's not you.
That one. But it's full. The pantry's full, and there's such a beautiful, I think, in going through that conversation that we've had from, you know, the shock and the anger and the not denial, but the why the fuck would this happen to me? That it's not fair. And then in us pulling that apart to be able to, you know, sometimes it isn't fair from the earth perspective. You just aren't going to get the answer, and it's going to make you go, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when we reframe what happens in the next part in everyone's story, because that's why we, you know, we're all in our stories, I think that gives you a different perspective or a different piece to be able to keep them as beautiful individuals on their little stories and their life, knowing in some way that there's no way you have a Ouija board now. That's
100%.
It's like, I will find you.
That's it. Those lights are going to flicker on and off until you understand what I'm telling you.
It's like, do your homework.
But I think too, having that twin sister and feeling like she's done so much to support me in the last few years, even making my bucket list dreams come true, that I won't be there to support her in a physical way, that hurts me. But I also know I can't control that.
It's instead of moving it from, you know, anxiety, we've talked about, is something you can't control. And so from people not dying, you know, we think that you would be in the most anxious, awful state, in a panic terror, you know, moment. And because there's a finality and a no control, there is no control in it. You can't step in and change anything. There's a peace in it.
Yes.
Which is something that we have to rearrange all the things or the way we think. Being able to reframe it from fear back to going, wow, what does this, you know, how can I support myself even in this space? And I think that's when we just keep stepping out and keep stepping out and keep stepping out until we find a big picture. And even though we don't know specifically what each of your kids are working on, or even your sister or your mum or all the beautiful people in your life that just, you know, love you so much and vice versa back, there's a connection into
100%.
Why this would be part of their stories, because it will open up avenues and doorways and pathways and experiences.
Yeah, and that's what I'm really seeing is the threads to my journey is teaching other people. And like I have a lot of people go, you're so strong, or you're so, and I'm like, I'm just dealing with it the best way that I know how. And you be surprised. You can surprise yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like with the strength that you have. Like I don't think it's anything superhuman, or it is literally that peace. And I think you've really helped to give me that peace.
The reframing
and understand. I used to hear, you know, everything happens for a reason, and I used to go, that can't be, that's not right, because why do children die and why do good people get killed? And I could never kind of fully accept that statement. But now I can see that sometimes in grief and tragedy, someone can make a huge difference in someone else's life, and it continues to go on like that.
It's the interlocking, or how it's so intertwined. So when someone goes at a certain time, the impact that has on so many people's lives, that just goes through a community, you know, even knowing, you know, the amount of people that were at your celebration of life were so many stories and so many little things that every single person's takeaway from that, they're changed. You know, there's people there were concerned about these things that were so dramatic and mattered that now it no longer matters. You know, things that we think matter disappear, and reality and caring and loving and supporting, and the truth that, you know, that time is short and you're allowed to do it your way. And even if I don't agree with it, you're still allowed to do it your way, because it's part of your experience and your story. And while I mightn't agree with you, I'm going to let you make a choice, because that's important for you to be able to learn what you need to learn.
Understanding 100%.
Yeah. And I think that matters. There was a beautiful. I'm going to let you tell this story. It's the rainbow story that you and I
feel like I've stolen your story.
I love how you say it, so I'm going to let you say it.
By the rainbow.
Was this early? This was before you were diagnosed?
It was before I was diagnosed with it. Yeah. I was misdiagnosed, and
totally.
So I was taking medication that I probably didn't need to have, and then they discovered it was all wrong.
Yeah.
And I was having a chat with Mel, and Mel was talking about, I think for her daughter, everything was going right. You know,
it's like everything
was falling into place. She was doing the degree that she wanted to do. She was captain of the netball team, really nice bloke. Everything was going so well. And then I think, if I remember rightly, and correct me, Mel, your daughter played a game of netball and she got hit by another player, and when she was at the hospital, they said it was almost like she'd been hit by a car. It was, the force was that hard.
And she had done her ACL, which means in netball land, that's an absolute crisis, and you're out of netball for 12 months. So it's pretty much a massively life-changing injury that is the devastation of netball career. And I think to the beautiful part of this story, so let's add, so many people, because of the job I do, think that, oh my God, your life must be so amazing. You've got your shit together. You never yell at your kids. Let me assure you that is not true. None of that is true. Perfectly normal human being that loses myself in all kinds of things.
Yeah. And I think, Mel, if I remember rightly, you were at the shops that particular day and you came out and you saw a rainbow and you thought, it's so pretty and beautiful, but fuck the rainbow. Because it's like, really? Do I need one more thing to have to worry about? And I've sort of gone with that, and it's sort of, I retell that story, and probably not as well as I should, but every time I see a rainbow, sometimes it's like FTR. Fuck the rainbow. And my kids were really funny because they're like, you can't say that, Mum, because rainbows
are beautiful.
No, because the LGBT community. And I said, I'm not disrespecting them. I said, I'm purely talking about a rainbow. How, like, for a rainbow to occur, you kind of have to have sun, rain. It's a mixture of everything. It's almost like
a miracle.
It is.
I think I remember I'm in the shops and I was just like, I'm so angry at how life can be so good one minute and so fucked the next.
Yeah.
And especially when it's people that we love and care about, it's like, it's just not fair, that real helpless, overwhelmed, angry feeling.
Yeah.
And so walking out to see this beautiful, I think it was a double rainbow, it was just divine.
Of course it was a double rainbow.
Yeah, and it was like the universe just saying to me, everything's fine, we've got you, it's okay, everything happens for a reason. And I was like, I don't friggin' care. I don't want this plan. I'm not here. And I know obviously it's a little different situation too.
No, not at all.
It's the beautiful thing of knowing that we make a plan and then life comes along and absolutely sidekicks us to wherever, and this wasn't even about me, it was about my daughter. But again, and we're sitting there so angry and annoyed, and you're just allowed to be for a while.
Yeah.
And the universe will still turn around and go, I've got you.
Yes.
And you can tell it to get fucked.
Yeah.
For as long as you need to.
100%. Well, I had a bit of chuckle just before my celebration of life. My sister ended up calling an ambulance because I was feeling quite ill and sick and couldn't keep anything down. And they decided to transport me by ambulance to the hospital, and I was in the back of the ambulance coming down the freeway, and there was a rainbow in the sky, and I just laughed because I'm like, okay, there you are. And I said, okay. And I went into hospital, and I got out in time for my celebration. And
it's like the message.
It was just almost like, it was quite funny, but I had on my cake a rainbow with an FTR on it. Because it's just become sort of a metaphor, like sometimes.
Yeah, it's like.
There's just another layer that you need to dig a little bit deeper and go, okay, what's this about? So I think I told you, Mel, when I was having radiation on a spot in my stomach, and I was driving back and forth to home, and I got about 3 speeding fines in a row, and I lost demerit points, and I've never been a really cautious driver, and lots of roadworks around our way. I wasn't quite doing the 40 and got pulled over by the cops, and they're like, you nearly lost your car, like you were speeding that much. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not me. And I racked up about $1,000 worth of fines in a really short period of time. And it took me a while, but I stopped and I went, what does this mean? And when I stopped, I went, slow down, Belinda. You've got time, like you're rushing through everything. And once I acknowledged that, didn't get another speeding fine. Wow. I felt like I was more conscious of those things. And even when my car's low in fuel, I go, am I a little bit, I need to fill up my own tank a bit, because I'm just letting things go and letting things go. Stop, refocus. Sometimes take your shoes off and just stand in the grass. I told my daughter to do that today, and she looked at me and I go, yeah, you're not quite where I am. But we're getting you to that self-care, self-love.
That question that we say that I love, it's like, what do you need? And how do you give that to yourself? It's like, really, and sometimes, I think before we even started working, and when you're a giver, it's like the question, what do you need? You don't know how to answer that.
No.
And so it's doing,
because you almost need everyone to need you.
that's what you need. Yeah.
I need, but I need, I need to see your response, your reaction to feel needed.
Yeah, I need to feel needed, so I belong and I fit and I feel loved and I'm, connected to my family. And that is, in that same self-abandonment pattern that we've been brought up with. And when we abandon ourselves, I think the most beautiful thing I've seen with you going through this journey is your self-abandonment has totally changed from when I've met you to, now, in the way that you do love and have boundaries and support yourself and look after yourself. And yes, we're still working on them at times.
Yes, but I feel like I've got more in my toolkit.
Yeah.
I've got much better at saying to people, because everyone wants to see you because they think maybe it's the last time they're going to see you, but I've got much better at saying I'm holding time and space for my kids at the moment. I'll get back to you like when I'm ready.
It's guilt-free, and that's the one. When we have guilt, 100%. It means I'm worried about what you think, and when we can let go of the guilt, it's your truth. It's just your truth. And there's no other feeling that, hey, that feels really good that I can say that. It's so amazing. I love it so much.
I love it too.
The next 30 seconds could change your life. If you want to take the next step to work with Mel, go to Mel Ryan 100% you on your Facebook or Instagram and direct message her the word work. From here, Mel's team will help direct you to what you need. You may want to explore at your own pace, or you might be ready to dive right in. No matter where you're at, Mel has the tools and programs in place to help you, support you. Mel Ryan, 100% you.
Tuesdays with Mel, what are some of the most favorite things?
So many. You used to use an analogy about your bathtub, about making your own bathtub, and what do you want in your bath, and no one else can get in your bath.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me to begin with. And then as we've gone on in weeks and stuff, it's about staying in your own lane too, and which lane you're going to be in, and that this is your lane and someone can't cross over.
You're not going to let other people in and stuff.
And it's
the analogies.
It's the analogies. I go, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, like the chocolate muffin.
Chocolate muffin. Yeah, so I occasionally bring Mel a secret muffin until she's going on holidays, and it's like no more muffins. I can't have any more muffins.
Got to get in bathers.
Got to get into bathers. Yeah, but I just feel when I come here, there's such a light, and I don't know if I should share this, but my husband's a very pragmatic person, and he comes from a paramedical background, so it's all science-based, and if he can't understand something, he's just not into it. So he would actually call Mel a witch doctor, which I affectionately call her my witch doctor now, and I go, it works for me. You don't have to believe in this, but it works for me. And after my celebration of life, another miracle happened, and he surprisingly came up to me and said, would Mel see me? And I think that speaks volumes for how you and the way you you hold yourself and the way you can make people understand their journey, people want to be a part of that because ultimately that's what we all want. We want better understanding of ourselves. We want to come back to who we are.
Yeah.
And yeah, I never loved myself at all. Like they say, you've got to love yourself, and I'm like, it sounds a bit, pretentious and a bit self,
we're not allowed to do that.
And I go, no, now I get that self-love is surrounding myself with people that are energy givers, not energy takers, and learning where I want to be in that space. And it just makes everything lighter and more lovely. But I love that, my husband, ex-husband, is now like, I'd like to see Mel.
I need that. I think when people feel your energy and see there's a strength, but it's a peace, knowing about your self-assurance in a way that's not manipulatable.
Yes.
You don't get to be guilty. You can hold, your truth, and you know how to answer how you feel about something, which is, again, super important. People want that.
100%.
And they don't know how to get it. And it's you can't get it by just it doesn't just happen. You don't get a pill and you get it. You have to be able to pull things apart to go, oh, what's my why about why I picked my mum, why I picked my dad, why I'm a twin, and it's like, even for you when we were unpacking that, it's but it really was a way for me to feel safe. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it also, so pros and cons, it also made me hide behind not finding me.
Yes.
Because I was a we, not a me. And so we had to do work in pulling out to go, well, what's the me part of the we?
Yes.
Because you couldn't answer that at the start, and we had to really come back into giving yourself permission in a way that you explore that, because then you become a wife and then a mother and then a childcare worker, and all the work that we do is our identities.
Yes.
But picking, why do you do that?
Yeah.
Why did we pick that? And it's that whole, well, I need to connect with my inner child. That's why I picked childcare. I need to, be loved and nurtured and looked after.
Well, I'll never forget when you asked me why I thought I got cancer. Like, how did I manifest? Like, it's almost a superpower. And I've often reflected on it. And there was a point in time where I thought maybe I manifested cancer because my daughter was really young when I was first diagnosed. And I think you do that self-sacrificing mum thing and you don't rest and you don't look after yourself. So I wanted a legitimate reason to go, hey, I'm not well, so I'm going to take time for me. And originally I thought maybe that's what it was. And then I realised I'd also been holding on to a lot of anger, with my sister, and we'd had some boy issues, coming out of teenage, both interested in the same one, and there were lots of hurt feelings and everything like that. And I think it's like a catalyst of all of that, because a lot of this cancer has to do with part of my body that I absolutely hate too. And I vomit a lot, and I feel like that's regurgitating my feelings that I've been trying to suppress because I don't want to look like an angry, bitter. And so I haven't gone through those feelings. And now I've actually been able to resolve, through discussions and having this, shortened lifespan. It's been like this incredible. And I thought, gee, no one's ever asked me, why do you think you got cancer?
Yeah. And it's not, it's so never a blame thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a blame thing. But, because people get upset with, that kind of line, and it's our bodies allow ourselves to have experiences,
100%.
and it's like, so why do you go through this experience? And I think when we look at even the type of cancer, it answers so many, it intertwines, with so much of what you've been learning on your journey. And you're right, vomiting is getting rid of unsaid emotions and things that I don't know how to process. So I can't digest what's happened in my life. I can't make sense of it. I don't know where to put it, or, you assimilate it as you digest stuff. So your body's like, I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah.
But because it's not ended, it just keeps happening.
Yeah.
And so, and then small intestine and everything is internalization in the emotional part, which means I've got to bury it but not think about it or talk about it or understand it. And so that beautiful part where we pull it apart to go, hey, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
And then I think it's true because you're a we and a twin and you have had, not now, had guilt in how you feel. You're not allowed to feel this. Yeah. So when we go, how do you feel? You're like, oh, no, I don't have a feeling. I'm fine. It's fine. Don't worry about me. It's okay. No one meant it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that can be a truth, for want of a better explanation. It still dismisses the truth of how you feel. And so if we can step out of, you know what, it's not their story about, we don't have to worry about upsetting people or anything like that. It's not their story. It's your story for what happened with your mum, or your dad, or your experience, or your sister, or schooling, or anything. Absolutely comes back to the truth. It's the thread that you were saying before. You pull the thread back to find out how you feel, and it's connecting the dots. I think I said to someone the other day, they were saying about what you do, and I said, my cute new little analogy is like, so your life is dot to dots, and you're like the picture that you get as a little kid, and it's just dots. I put the numbers next to it, and
I love your analogies. I really do. I love it.
Yeah. So by putting the numbers next to it, then we can actually go around and we've made a picture.
Yeah.
And your picture is magnificent, in all of the work that we've done. But when we started, you were a bunch of dots.
Yeah.
And I think that I like that analogy.
It's like a scribble going.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, where's it? And you go, oh, it goes this way.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. I think the other analogy I have said to people too, it's like, I think we were talking about, what would be your job if you didn't live on Earth? And I said, I think that I was the person that after you die, you review your life. I say it a lot that people get exit interviews. And so you sit down and you go, how'd you go with life? And you would have said before we hung out, you would talk about, your family and all your life experience with your mum, your dad, your sister, your marriage, your kids, all of that. And from there, we would then finish that conversation and I would come back to you and say, you told me nothing about yourself.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of being able to unpack it here is we now come back to being able to go, hey, it's about how I felt in relation to my dad or my mum or my childhood or my partner or my hubby or my kids or the work I picked. It's like how I felt. And to me, the question that will always be the line, how did you go supporting yourself through that? Because that's your story.
Yeah.
That's the absolute truth in your story. So when we've unpacked that to come back and we look at where you're at, you're like, wow, you supporting yourself in so many things of what happened in your life here, you now do now.
Yeah.
By reframing and looking at them going, oh, this was an experience for me to learn how to support myself with my voice or with my boundary or with loving myself or with having a need or with allowing myself to be connected. And I think, when you put it all together,
it's life-changing.
Yeah.
It really is. It's
freeing.
Yeah.
I think, the question I asked you the other day, can you genuinely say if you love yourself or not?
I do. I love who I am. And I feel like I just feel free. Like I can't explain it more than that, but I just feel like the more you focus on yourself and do work on yourself, the more freeing it is, and it frees other people to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And it just makes being around those people so much more joyous. Instead of going into a room and thinking, oh, what are they thinking about me? They're judging me. They're this and that. If you can go in with an open heart and an open mind, you never know.
Yeah, what magic.
Yeah.
Conversation, the real conversations you have.
Yeah.
You see the truth in what they're working on. I think what I love is being able to look at other people in awe and being like, wow, I see what you're working on. It's an incredible job. Now, it might not be according to the rules and the ladder, but it is their way.
And
and it's like, wow, you're actually really, really knee deep in supporting your story and your life. I think that that's such a beautiful part of what we do.
And the world needs to know Mel Ryan, her books, her podcast. Fairy dust from the sky.
It's such a beautiful time that we've had to be able to, and, you know, we'll continue for as long as every second as we can. Because you never stop learning about yourself.
No.
As you said, you're not done. No one's done.
But yeah, it's funny when you almost find this almost soul connection, because I feel like when we even give each other a hug, it just feels so encompassing and warm.
It's like I see you. You know when people say that line, I see you?
Yeah.
It's like that. I see you. Yeah, that's such
and
a
then
beautiful
having
thing.
like my niece by marriage who's has some quite similar views in that, and seeing the connections that form, and, you know, just seeing people talk and branch off about these amazing things, it just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So happy.
I love that. I totally see it. I get it too, because you look at stories and life in different ways.
Yeah.
For each of the people that you love in your life, what would you say to them? What do you want to say to them?
That's such a hard question to answer, but love your journey. Like, I love yourself enough to do the work, to go through the hard things, to unpack your stuff so that you can live the most freeing life, like where you see the beauty in things and not the dark. Yeah.
Wow,
And it's like
perfect.
Yeah, it's like finally giving yourself permission to go, I don't have to be like everyone else. I have to be me. And I think at my celebration of life, I had a quote in a frame by Coco Chanel that says, beauty begins the moment you be yourself. You learn to be yourself. And that's what I'm trying to teach my daughter too, that it comes from a place of internal happiness, or you don't always have to be. I'm not saying you have to always be happy, because there are those rainbow moments that come in, but it's trying to understand what they're trying to teach, what the universe is trying to teach you, your soul is trying to learn.
It's like connecting yourself to that. It's like your soul story is also on, you know, part of your earth story. So it's being able to, I think to me, it's listen. So it's have, you know, your plan, but be able to listen to life's plan at the same time 100%. Without that real pushback. And you can only do that by understanding yourself. Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful thing. Is that your same message to the world?
I would just, honestly, the world, I just want you to get on Mel Ryan. Mel Ryan, everyone needs to. You look at the world, and sometimes, and at the moment, you know, there's so many wars and things going on, and it seems so senseless and so horrible. But I also like to go, where there's dark, there's light, and you need to look for the light, because you'll always find some sort of darkness, but you need to look for the light, and that's what will give you your energy, your spark, your soul. It will enlighten, like it will fire up your soul.
It's that, isn't it? It's like the connection to the passion. I think too, you're right, you know, there's so much stuff going on with the world at the moment, but each person still has their individual story. So no matter how awful and horrendous and confronting things are in each of those situations, and, you know, that happens whether it be overseas or here, there's still so much to unpack in a story to be able to put it in a perspective. I think I talk about trauma.
Trauma is a big,
and to me, the way I explain it in my little analogies, it's like trauma is like, imagine if we had presents, you know, Christmas Day, everyone gets a present. You get one or two or many presents. So you have your trauma sack, which is like your Santa sack, full of all these traumas that you've had in your life, all wrapped up for you. And instead of us opening them to understand them, we return them to the warehouse.
Yeah.
And so there's a warehouse that is full of everyone's trauma presents.
Yes.
Because I call them a present. And when you unpack a trauma present, instead of focusing on what someone did to me or what happened or the awful thing that happened or situation, to me it's focusing on, why would I experience that? Which is the question, why would we go through having cancer? And for that, the next bit is, because it's about me learning how to support myself by ... Which again, when we look at our question in our exit interview, it's like, how would you support yourself differently? It's like, how did you go supporting yourself through that? So my opening the trauma is for me to go, wow, I would support myself by having a voice, by having a boundary, by moving, by doing this course, by not saying no, by whatever it is. But it is me being able to kind of pack a new conscious way of thinking that's strong, because I know myself now. I know I need to do this. And so as much as trauma is awful, by unpacking it to get the takeaway of how I would support myself differently is going to actually completely change my life. So we don't
100%.
get stuck in the trauma. We get supported by the takeaway for us to do it differently. Yeah.
And it's so interesting you say like the why, because I work with children, I constantly think of 2-year-olds saying, why? And then you answer it and they're still like, why?
Yeah, but you didn't give me the bottom why.
Yeah, because there's an inquisitive, they want to know, and you need to know so that you can go on to the next lesson. Otherwise you keep going,
put it to bed.
Yeah.
It's like, why? And you go, because that just happens. Bad things happen. Yeah. You're like, no. Yeah. That didn't cut it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, but why would that happen?
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe they're learning this. Like, oh yeah, okay, that's fair.
That makes more sense. But it's funny how we dismiss, and as we get older, we take on other people's beliefs, values, restrictions, depending on what's around us, and we stop thinking for ourselves a little bit.
Yeah. So then we have that society norm that it's not fair that you're sick.
Yeah.
And it's not fair that you're going to die. And then you look at it and you're like, well, we can all stay there, but that's a layer of blame. We're all stuck in the trauma.
Yes.
And we haven't looked at any of the, beautiful things. And while we don't have to agree with it, life comes in and, the rainbow comes in and has plan B. There is so much things that will come from it and about it. And even for you, you're like, but I genuinely have spent so many years on earth and I genuinely love who I am. Like, it's incredible.
It is.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And
that's why I love having any conversation with you, Mel, because the unpacking, and we always do it with like love and humour and
we make it funny.
Yeah. And and because there is a point where I go, I think Mel's perfect. I can't imagine you ever getting upset. And I remember you said to me once, and I adopted it for a while, where you would say to each of your children, you're my favourite.
Yeah.
So I would go home and say to one of my kids, you're my favourite child, and the other one would go, and then I go, no, actually, you're my favourite child.
Yeah.
And I just keep it going and just moving, and it just became such a fun way of not.
Yes, like following all the rules that you can't have this and you can't have that.
Yeah.
But yes, you're going to connect at different times.
And I love that. It's such a freeing way of looking at things, and it's what I try to instill with my kids, and because social media is so hard these days and everyone's comparing, and I remember your kids like to take photos, sticking their tongues out, literally having fun, having fun, and I'm like, that's what it should be about.
Yeah, it's free. Be free.
Be free.
Be free.
Be free to be me.
Yeah, free to be me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mel.
Amazing. Yeah.
Mwah.
I am so grateful that you could share some of this space with us today. Absolutely love you with everything.
Ditto.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Belinda passed away on the 22nd of February, 2025, 4 months after this podcast was recorded. Thank you for listening to this episode of Life Unpacked with Mel Ryan. If someone in your life is going through their own life bomb, please share this episode with them. These stories may be exactly what they need to hear. Remember to follow or subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you feel called to unpack your own story with me, you're always welcome to reach out through my website or social media. Thank you for being part of this space. Be kind to yourself, be curious, and remember the answers you've been looking for have always been inside you. I'll see you at the next episode.